pictures lie here, looking through the window. Yeah!
Out of all of the recent Stephen King movie adaptations to come out, I was looking forward to Pet Sematary the most. The original had me creeped out beyond belief. That and Candyman were the only two horror movies to properly freak me out. So when I heard that Pet Sematary was getting a remake, I was kinda excited. Seeing as how good the It remake was, I had high expectations. But then I saw the trailer. These dumb shits change a major part of the story and spoil it in the trailer. I might have been okay with the older girl dying instead of the baby if I had experienced it in the theater.
Hug your daughter.
But knowing beforehand ruined a big part of the movie for me. But I still gave it a chance and went to the theater to see it. Who knows, they could have still surprised me like it did with the gruesome death of Georgie. This movie starts with a scene that takes place after the finale. I think they were trying to set a creepy tone, but instead it feels like a cheap and ineffective way to build tension. Then we meet the Creed family. Lewis, Rachel, Ellie, and Gage on their way to their new house in the country. All the actors are okay, I guess, aside from this dude looking like the orc from Bright. Lewis is a doctor, and while he's at his first day at work, Rachel and Ellie hear some drums coming from the woods. They find a group of children in creepy masks walking down a trail that leads to the Pet Sematary. Ellie goes back into the woods alone to investigate some more. She busts her ass and we're introduced to not Herman Munster, looking like he just drank a bowl of hot shit. He explains to her what the Pet Sematary is.
What is this place?
Pet Cemetery. Can you read the sign?
Rachel finally realizes that her child is gone and comes out to find her. Who's looking after the baby while they're out here? In the 90s movie, the family had a housekeeper. Ellie asks her father about why things die. Rachel and Lewis have very different views on death.
What Mommy and Daddy are trying to say is that you don't have to worry about this.
But what about your sister, Mommy? Wasn't she just a kid when she died?
Rachel doesn't want to think about death after she saw her older sister Zelda die when she was younger. The next day at work, Lewis tries to help a very wounded jogger named Victor Pascal after the nurse comments on Two-Face over here.
His brain. I can see it.
Kelly, go!
He dies, but comes back with an important warning.
The barrier was not meant to be broken.
Lewis.
All a dream, I guess. On the way home, he almost gets smashed by a big rig. Ellie goes to Judd's house alone. Just walks in, sees a gun inside the table. Again, where the fuck is her parents? She invites Judd over to the house for dinner. That night, the ghost of Pascal visits Lewis. He warns him not to go beyond the Pet Sematary.
Stop! The ground is sour!
Lewis wakes up the next day thinking that it was all a dream, but his feet are all shitty. It's Halloween and the family cat, who I failed to mention so far, Church, is dead on the side of the road. After telling Rachel about the cat, she tells a story about how her sister died.
Ever since moving here, I can't stop thinking about her. She hated me.
Not as scary to me as the original.
Never get out of bed again! Never get out of bed again!
That night, Lewis and Judd go out to bury Church, but Judd doesn't want to go to the Pet Sematary. He wants to go beyond. This version does kind of make the place call out to Judd, like a glamour or something. They walk through Spooky Land for a few minutes until they reach the top of the hill. Lewis buries Church with Judd acting super sketchy.
You did good, Lewis. I knew you would.
While Rachel and Lewis are trying to tell Ellie that her cat died, She tells them that church is right over there. Lewis goes out to confront Judd.
So we need to have a little talk.
He explains a little of what he knows about the place where they buried the cat.
I mean, come on, you saw as well as I did. That cat was dead,
I
Judge.
never said he wasn't.
Later, Church scratches Ellie for trying to brush the flesh naps out of his fur. Pascal shows back up with some more vague bullshit.
And the destruction of all you love is very near, Doctor.
Rachel gets a jump scare. Judd tells Lewis more about what he knows.
I mean, Biff had a mean streak to begin with. But Church, well, was a nice cat.
Tried to hurt Gage.
Lewis tries to get rid of his zombie kitty by dumping him in the woods. This cat is one of the best actors in this movie. Later at Ellie's birthday party, everyone is playing some kind of Marco Polo hide-and-seek game. Ellie hides in the bushes next to the road, while Gage hides behind some cars. Ellie notices Church walking in the middle of the road. Gage runs out to see his sister and the cat. Finally, Lewis sees that one of his kids is in the street and runs to get Gage. He does at the very last second before a semi-truck plows by. The driver loses control of his truck and tips it, causing the tanker to fly off and slide up the street, striking Ellie and killing her. Instantly and bloodless, I guess. At her funeral, Lewis and Judd trade zombie kid glances.
Yes.
No!
Yes.
No!
Yes.
No!
Yes.
Rachel can't take being there after the accident, so her and Gage go to visit with her parents. That night, Lewis comes over to Judd's house so that he can Cosby his old ass before he tries to stop him from burying his daughter up there. After Judd is zonked, Lewis goes out and relocates Ellie's body. She comes back just a little different, with a Forrest Whitaker eye and a Ja Rule voice.
I remember my birthday party.
Got the skin palette of a nutsack. Lewis is second-guessing his decision. Judd wakes up in his chair outside and comes over to see if he can talk some double kill that bitch sense into Lewis.
If you've done something, Lewis, it's not too late to undo it.
Ellie catches wind of this and kills the shit out of him.
Come and fucking try!
Bye, Judd. Rachel comes home to find that her husband is batshit crazy and brought back Dolly Dearest here. She does not approve. So Ellie starts to mess with her with images of her sister Zelda. Stab. Face kick. Rachel drops Gage out of the window to Lewis before Ellie lands the kill shot. Lewis locks the baby in the car and explains a bunch of shit to him that he does not understand.
Daddy needs you to stay in the car, okay? Don't open the door for anyone. Listen to me, Gage, not even for Ellie.
Then goes back inside and gets laid out. He comes to and goes to find Ellie before she can bury Rachel. He finds her and they fight.
Stop fighting, Daddy.
Why the fuck would it hurt her to get bit? All this cartoon shit. Zombie Rachel kills Lewis. Now all three zombie creeds are walking towards Gage, who is still locked in the car, where I can assume they kill him and reanimate him as well.
Under the arc of with stained boards.
Not the Ramones. So as you can probably tell, I did not care for this film. I can't even blame it on the actors. They were all pretty good, and there was some good atmosphere and cinematography. It's the directing and writing that killed this movie. It just falls apart in the third act and turns into a Merry Melodies cartoon, and then just kinda ends. Also, where the hell did Pascal go? He was with Lewis up until the end in the original. It had promise, but ultimately, the 2019 remake of Pet Sematary shits the bed. If you want a recommendation, go watch the original.